This is DJ Rubbish on the ones and twos. And I just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
I think I heat this tea up way too much. Yeah, no, it looks super hot. All right, yeah, don't cheat. You can't look at my notes. All right, welcome to episode 12. Down in Atlanta, recording with my good friend Katy. Katy has been itching for her podcast and broadcasting in general debut. She's currently the president at NBA on TNT. What is your actual title on at work?
I'm a marketing coordinator.
Marketing coordinator.
I work on our digital properties.
Okay. I tell people all the time that you're basically like Shaq's villain if he leaves for NBA on TNT.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to explain what I do. So.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. I know your dad was telling me, like when I saw him, like he was like, "Yo, Katy, like put together some app," and I was like, "What? That's like crazy."
I was about that.
But yeah, no, I'll keep telling people that though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you for letting me use your apartment as the makeshift recording studio for this week.
We're happy to have you here.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be down there. I like Atlanta a lot, and I really like it when it's negative 12 degrees in Detroit on a day in and day out basis. So this episode we're gonna be talking about Mary Poppins. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. I was super excited. I think I mentioned on like one of my first episodes how excited I was for the Mary Poppins movie. And I'm happy I finally got to see it. Just saw it last night. Very late showing. I am very tired. Had to wake up and do an event today, so it's fun. It's all good. It's all good. What did you do earlier today?
I got my hair cut.
Oh, nice. Okay,
I
yeah.
had it scheduled before.
That's right.
I knew about the podcast. I didn't get it cut just for this podcast.
You don't have to lie. If you got to cut for the podcast, I appreciate it. That you're taking it seriously. We run a big operation here, you know.
That is
so
true. I've been preparing for this all day.
Katy is also a Todd Squad alum. For those of you who aren't familiar, I don't know how you couldn't be with our IM team. Or Katy was the captain. I was the coach along with my assistant coaches, namely Charles Ham. Will also probably go into the Hall of Fame, and I am coaching. I think we coached 2 seasons, and then like the 3rd season I think I was in Vegas and I came back.
Oh yeah, you literally came back from retirement.
Yeah,
just for our 3rd season.
I came out of retirement for 3rd season. Didn't get. I think we had some commitment issues that year. I think there were some girls who just didn't show up.
We definitely did.
But yeah, Todd Squad is an IM basketball team that started at Michigan State. Still lives on though in everyone's hearts. We're finally remembered in the IM community, well respected. We did make first year was the finals runner-ups,
right? We really
right?
peaked that first year.
That first year we were killing it.
We ever topped that year.
I don't think it's coincidental that we had Maddie on the team that year. She definitely was a great talent to have on the team. The following year we had Gabby, who was our ringer, and then the third year was the best distributed talent I think amongst everyone.
Yeah, because that first year we had Maddie, but like we also had people like ducking when the ball was going.
We won't name names. I would love to do a Where Are They Now with Todd Squad. Like what are they doing? What are they currently doing now?
We could bring the Twitter account back to life.
Oh my God! I forgot the Twitter account. Oh my God. Yeah, no, that was good times. Good times. I would love to do a Where Are They Now, but yeah, we had the disparity in talent, or I guess the gap in talent. I mean, you had Maddie, and then you had, like you said, literally people who had never touched a basketball, who were literally dodging the ball when we were throwing them like 2-mile-per-hour passes. So that year was crazy. Second year got a little bit better, and then like I said, third year was probably the best complete team. I don't know if there was. It wasn't stars. It was commitment issues. I don't know if it was anyone who was just namely like a star, but you had a lot of great role players. I mean, you took a leadership position that year. I saw you hit some threes. you've always been hesitant to shoot the three, but when you get going, you start jacking them up. So your defense has always been the best part of your game. So I hopefully see you with a comeback. Are you thinking about coming back to the game of basketball anytime soon?
Oh boy, I don't know about that. Without you as a coach, I just don't know if I can do it.
Hey, we can make it happen. You let me know, and I'll get a team. I'll find some randos. We can get a pickup team going anywhere. So
that's the worst part of it all. The free agents that joined our team, you
man.
literally called them randos to their face.
Yeah, you know what? And it was a term of endearment. So I hope they took it that way. But yes, they were. They were by definition randos. We did not know them, so we learned to love them. Though I don't remember some of their names. One of them I still follow. I'm saying them like they're not people. One I still follow on Twitter.
Nicole.
Nicole. I think Nicole's doing well. It looks like. So she cracks me up on Twitter. Some of her tweets are. Like, like the people who tweet like oddly, like I hope she doesn't listen to this, but it's all love, Nicole. Also, if you listen to this, but those tweets that are like oddly sad, like it's like oh, that's a little dark, like you know what I mean, like some jokes are like, guess I'll maybe I'll get frostbite for going outside, and then others are like, great day, dog just died. It's like, whoa, that's a little dark. It's a little too much. I can't retweet it. Like, do I retweet it? Do I like it? Like, I can't like that your dog died. So,
I have definitely seen those from her as well.
So not exactly that, but Nicole, maybe loosen up. Maybe lighten the Twitter game up a little bit if you're listening. It's all love. So to this movie, one of the questions I had when the movie came on, whenever I see Emily Blunt or Zooey Deschanel, I take a second to think about how they look alike. Do you know New Girl?
Yes, I definitely know Zoe. I actually didn't know Emily Blunt well before seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever even seen her in a movie.
What? Okay, time out. So, so that's wild that you just said that. I was gonna ask you, like who you liked better between the two.
Definitely, I love New Girl. I'm a big New Girl fan.
Okay, that's fair. I guess since this is the first thing you've seen Emily Blunt in.
I knew of her, just like I knew her as she's married to the Office guy.
Oh my God, no. Okay, John Krasinski.
Yes.
Or I think that's how you say his last name.
Yeah.
It's like, what I feel like everyone who has like a weird last name like that should just be Coach K. Like you just like say K.
Yeah.
John K. So yes, she is married to him, but she's way more successful than he is. But A Quiet Place. Did you not see that with both of them?
I haven't seen that.
It is. Yeah, they're both in it.
Oh wow.
They're the parents in the movie. It's good. It's solid. I like The Quiet Place a lot. Do you see Bird Box?
I did watch Bird Box.
Okay. Did you like Bird Box?
Yeah, I don't really understand all the hype around it. Like I thought it was good.
Right.
But I just feel like everyone was talking about it, and I feel like there were better movies out that everyone could be talking about. But
yeah, no, that's fair.
I guess for a Netflix movie that was just kind of released, like everyone has access to it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm not gonna talk about Bird Box. I did talk about it on like a couple podcasts ago, but A Quiet Place is a lot better version. Like the Bird Box is a poor man's A Quiet Place.
Okay.
So if you like Bird Box, I think you'd really like A Quiet Place. They did a good job with it. Girl on the Train, also a good Emily Blunt movie. Sicario, Into the Woods, which actually had the same director as Mary Poppins Returns. The 5-Year Engagement, that's okay. It's not like you don't have to stop what you're doing and watch that one. The Adjustment Bureau was good. Dan in Real Life, she's in that. She's not a main person in that, but Dan in Real Life is one of my favorite rom-coms ever. And then The Devil Wears Prada. Sorry, she's also in that. So
I to admit that I've never seen any of these movies.
It's all good. There's a lot of movies out there. It's like music. When someone like tells you about a new song and you feel like kind of like you don't want to give them the credit for telling you about a new song.
Yeah.
It's okay that if you haven't heard about it, it's okay to admit it because it's a lot of stuff out there that like it just
I
you'll
went
never
through a
watch it all.
long phase where I didn't really enjoy movies, so I didn't watch a lot.
That's fair.
But I like them a lot better now, so I'm kind of trying to catch up on everything I missed. So
Okay, yeah,
those will
definitely.
be next on my list.
Definitely do that. I'll cut this out. So the movie background for Mary Poppins. Decades after her original visit, the magical nanny returns to help the Banks siblings and Michael's children through a difficult time in their lives. It was released on the 19th of December. The cast includes, like we've already mentioned, Emily Blunt, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then you went to what am I trying to say? Hamilton. Yeah, you saw Hamilton, right, in Chicago, right?
I saw it in Chicago, so he wasn't in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was only in the New York one, I believe. But he was like the writer. That was my understanding.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I saw it in Chicago, which had a whole different cast, but it was amazing.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard one bad thing about it. For me to invest, like, obviously we all have different things that we're like willing to invest a lot of money in.
Yeah.
A play is not for me. I do enjoy plays. Will I invest a lot of money in them? No. So that just wasn't one for me, but it sounds good. Like if I just came across some free tickets, I would 100% go. If I didn't have something else going on that day, like, but yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I do like musicals. Like that's the thing is that I do like that, and there's like there's some musicals that have like the soundtracks, and like I have a theater playlist on my phone. So I do enjoy the experience and I do enjoy the music, but it's just not it's just not something that I'm dropping like hundreds of dollars on.
Yeah, my mom was really excited about it, so I went with her.
That's cool.
My parents both came.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, I remember when you went. I think I was still living in Chicago when you came. I think.
Yeah, it was last winter.
Meryl Streep is cousin Topsy in the movie. Colin Firth, who you were excited about, and Dick Van Dyke from the original Mary Poppins is back in this one. He was Mr. Dawes Sr. in the original. This one, he's Mr. Dawes Jr. At the end. So it's directed by Rob Marshall, who I already mentioned. Directed Into the Woods. Also did Chicago, and then he's been announced as the director for the upcoming live-action Little Mermaid film. So I'm excited about that Little Mermaid film. Now that since he's doing it, like now I can expect what it's gonna be like. Like I have a good idea what the cinematography is gonna be like in the flow of the movie after seeing the other stuff that's that I just mentioned. So we'll see. The movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes, so very close to the original movie. Pretty long movie for the type of movie that it is. You would think it would be like they could probably put it all in an hour and a half. Not complaining, but it's kind of long for the type of movie it is, in my opinion. Especially musical, like it doesn't have to be. I mean, obviously plays are typically like 3 hours, but this could have been hour or 30, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to the movie. Like I told you when we saw it last night, we cannot talk about it to the podcast. So what were your overall thoughts on the movie? I mean, we'll go through each part, but just overall, what were your thoughts?
Overall, I thought it was a good movie. I'm not a huge musical person.
Okay.
I feel like this was kind of a different type of musical where like they would just like start breaking out into song, but like they'd be like softly singing at first, and I'd be like, are they singing or are they still talking?
Right.
And then all of a sudden they'd be like belting it out.
Right.
Those transitions were just a little weird for me.
Yeah.
But the movie as a whole, I thought it was a good movie. I hadn't seen the first one until afterwards.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time like comparing anything to the first one.
Yeah. No, that's fine. The first one came out a long time ago. I saw the first one growing up and hadn't seen it for a very, very long time. So there are details that like I had to like jog my memory. With this one, and I'm not gonna this episode won't be me comparing the two because it's not like I don't think that's fair. To compare the two, a classic film, and then when they come out with this one, that's it's odd. They went the route of making it a sequel, which I think was smart, as opposed to just calling it an outright remake. I think it was creative for them to go the sequel route, even though it did obviously try to recreate a lot of the scenes, it seemed like, from the original. But I like that route, and I want to appreciate this film. I went into it like, okay, I'm going to appreciate this film for what it is, and not just compare it to the previous one. Cause I think that's just not fair when movies do that. Like, or I'm sorry, not movies. That's not fair when I do that to movies or shows, whatever the case. Like going back to theater, for instance, Lion King. When I first saw that live, did you go when we went and saw it? When we went and saw the Lion King production in LA during the Rose Bowl?
I don't think so.
You didn't go? Okay. So when we went there, I went to that, and
I have seen the Lion King play though.
You have
it was
seen
a long time ago.
Okay, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But Lion King being my favorite film, I go into it and I know the words, so I'm going into it wanting it to be. And I've talked about this on the podcast before about the live action Lion King coming up and me being like excited but kind of hesitant. With same thing with the play, with theater production, I'm wanting it to be like word for word, like the Lion King, the sound, the songs to be the same, stuff like that. Instead of just letting them like take their creative liberties on it and enjoy it for what it is. So once I got like probably like 30 minutes into the play, I was like, okay, let me step back and just enjoy it for what it is. So then you do that and it's great. I did the same thing with Anastasia. I went and saw that at the Wharton Center like a couple weeks ago, and that was one of my favorite movies growing up. And I go to it and I'm wanting to hear the same songs exactly the same way. And even though they sung a lot of the same songs, I had to enjoy it for what it was and understand that they're going to change some things and make it a little bit more fresh, which is fine. So I did the same thing with this. I'm not going to compare it to Julie. Like, I love Julie Andrews, so I can't compare Emily Blunt to Julie Andrews, like in her singing and the way she portrayed Mary Poppins. Because like, okay, there's a new person, boom. So in doing that, I think that really helped my view of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. You have to be difficult. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Cut that out. You have to be careful with those classic movies. I feel like people get really defensive.
Yeah, no, for sure. People definitely get defensive, like when it's their like favorite. Like Mary Poppins isn't one like the original, even though I like it and I like Julie Andrews and I like a lot of the music in it. A lot of songs in it are just classics. A lot of stuff that she sings, period, in movies are become classics. But yeah, some people get defensive. Like again, I like Lion King. It's not as old as Mary Poppins, but I think it came out decades later. But like, I'll get defensive if someone were to say to me like, for instance, a couple years ago when Frozen got really big and people were like, Frozen's the best Disney movie of all time. And I'm like, you're like crazy. I can name 25 better, and people were looking at me like I was crazy. And that's like, I get defensive of the movies that I really like growing up.
Agreed.
So no, that is true. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, I think people are either just like mad or they love it. Like it's really a hit or miss with each time you remake a classic movie.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I know there's like always a category in the Oscars for like remakes, and I think A Star Is Born is, I don't know if it's leading the pack right now, but it's definitely up there. I know there's been a ton of buzz around it, and that was the first episode I did on here, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but and that was the third time they've done that one. So I don't know, we'll see.
Oh really? I didn't even realize that it was a remake.
I didn't either until I think I got on I don't know if I'm trying to remember what I even said on the podcast. I can't remember if I found out like I think right before, like very shortly before I went and did the podcast.
Yeah.
I found out it was when I went and saw it though in the theater. I didn't realize it was a remake. So and it did not. After watching, I was like, I didn't have to see the first two. I was fine. I was like, okay, I don't have to go back and see this story again.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of the music, not comparing, but the first one is known for a lot of classic songs. The most notable one being Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yes,
obviously. What did you think about the music in this one?
I thought they did a lot of justice to the original one.
Yeah.
I thought it was super interesting when the guy from Hamilton, I'm blanking on his name, did the
Lin-Manuel.
Hamilton like rapping. That was what a lot of the play was. So I was kind of like caught off guard when he like just started like doing the rap when they were in the vase.
Yeah.
But all in all,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like kind of like out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah,
She was like, break it down, and he like started going ham, and I was like, oh, what is happening?
Right.
But all in all, I thought the music was good. I think we both kind of gave each other a funny look when the kids started singing.
Yeah. I that was my next note. That's what. Yeah, the kids, when the kids start singing, and it was they tried to make it like a touchy moment, because we find at the beginning of the movie that their mom passed away, so he's trying to do it all on their own, on his own. Michael is, who was the kid in the first movie, now is the father, and he's trying to basically do it on his own, struggling. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit right after this, or right now. I'm like looking like, wait, I'm talking about it right now. About how like that struggling artist, like that storyline. But anyway, the kid's singing at that point when he's kind of having a breakdown of like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, we're gonna lose this house, all this stuff, and the kids start singing. They, again, we're one of those transitions where like, are they talking? Nope, they're singing. Here it comes.
And it was supposed to be like a really touching song.
Yeah.
Their mom's always with them, even though she passed away.
Right. And it was like, this is not, and I've said this to my sister before, and I said this to you last night, how I like when we were kids, I would be like, yo, I could be a Disney kid, and my reason wasn't outside of me just thinking I can do anything. It was me realizing that a lot of kids on the Disney Channel and stuff and Disney movies, some of them obviously can really, really sing. Like Miley Cyrus is an example of someone who can really sing. Obviously, she's grown up and had a career, and she has a really good voice. And then there's other ones who, even though they bring definitely some talent in terms of acting and just like charisma, they can't really sing, but they just have them like take a lot of voice lessons apparently into the point where they can at least hold a note, like Selena Gomez. Like, and I love Selena Gomez. I like her. Her most recent album, what was that? Revival, that came out like my senior year of college. I was bumping that heavy. I would actually I just added one of her songs from that album to like my running playlist. Oh yeah. So my point being is, even though I really like it, I can sit back and realize that like, okay, Selena Gomez isn't a good singer. Not really. She's not terrible, but exactly. No one's gonna be talking about Selena for her vocals.
Yeah, the thing here was that I don't think they put those kids through any vocal lessons. Mm-hmm. They didn't add any effects over it. It was like just all pure off tune. I was like, what is happening?
That was off the cuff. They showed up that day of shooting and they told them, hey, you know, we slid a little singing there. Lin, I think Lin got ahead of himself. I think he just was like, yo, everyone's gonna sing, and I'm like, all right, like, Lin, come on now, right? let's gauge the talent first before we come up in here with this revised script. So they definitely could have given the kids a little auto tune. They could have brought T-Pain on set, something, because they needed a little assistance. But It's all good. We powered through that part. But the story in general, and that's what I was about to say about the dad, you know, the starving artist thing. You know, Michael growing up, and he definitely looked like a starving artist. He was very thin. He looked like he was hungry. Like he looked hungry. He had the creeper stash. I have a thing about that. Like, guys, the stash, just the stash, and then when it's like a thick stash, you're not like, you know, there's a difference between like, you know, when I'm in 7th grade, 8th grade, just growing facial hair, and I just have like this like little bit of like peach fuzz above my lip, and I'm like, I'm not cutting it because it's like the first facial hair I have. That's one thing. Being a grown man and just having like a Flanders from Simpson just stash, like that looks creepy. Like, I'm sorry, like you need to get the full goatee or go clean or go with the beard, but just the stash, I don't trust you. Just know that. Like if I know you and I see you have just the stash, I'm judging you, and I'm not leaving my money in the room with you. I'm not leaving my kids in the room with you. So it just so that wasn't a good move for Michael. And get a job. Like I get the like, you have a dream. Like he's a painter in this. Like he's a painter and a bank teller at the bank that his father, you know, was a partner at previously. At what point do you give up your dream? Because obviously, you know, you hear all these stories like, I was struggling and I was in, you know, whatever it is. I was in LA acting, you know, trying to become an actor for 15 years, and it wasn't until I was 40 that I caught my big break. And I'm so glad I didn't give up. And now they're like a huge star.
Exactly.
What is the point where you say, hey, this is not ticking upwards, I need to get a real job?
Man, I feel like he had hit that point when he had like 3 kids, a single parent, and they were losing their house. Like, I feel like at that point I'd be like, okay, it's a little late now. Hopefully he would have realized it before then, but like at that point you're kind of like, you have no other choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. When you have kids, I think that's when you have more responsibilities other than yourself. Like, if it's just you out here, like, you know, right now, like that, like I'm a good example of that. Like I'm not dating anyone. I don't have any kids. You know, and I can do whatever I want. Like tomorrow, I say, all right, forget it. I want to move to Finland and work at a local coffee shop. Like whatever, I can do that, and it's just like whatever. Or if I just decide I want to be a painter and live in like a super small like studio apartment in New York and just kind of figure it out and be a barista on the side, like I can do that because I don't have any responsibilities other than me. But like you have 3 kids, Michael, so like they need a place to stay. So it's not just gonna be like, oh, let's just kind of figure it out. So. I do like the storyline though that they chose with this one of Mary Poppins coming back because she's realizing that the family needs help. Michael losing sight of like they were talking. They didn't harp on it a lot. They kind of is similar to Pooh that came out. Winnie the Pooh. Just I'm sorry. Let me clarify what movie I'm talking. Just similar to Pooh. I don't want that soundbite. But yeah, similar to Winnie the Pooh. movie that came out in August where Winnie the Pooh came back into Christopher Robin's life because he realized Christopher Robin was like, I don't know, losing his imagination and losing sight of what's important.
Yeah.
So Mary Poppins coming back for the kids, but you also see that, you know, there's an undertone of like Michael has kind of lost his like wonderment and like
and like
child.
as adults they think that they imagined everything when she was there. That was kind of cool. And then like as she continues to stay with his kids, he's like, wait, maybe that was real.
Right.
Like, everything that happened. So
Yeah.
that was pretty.
Yeah, I like stories like that where it's like because kids have such an innocence, and I do like, again, in this movie how like where they jump into like paintings and stuff like that where they take like a kid's imagination almost, and then they put it into a movie that obviously we can all enjoy. But I just love like just a display of like imagination in movies. Just like, all right, we're gonna do something crazy, and we're gonna have like, obviously animals talking is one that's done all the time. Disney does that all the time, but like they're gonna be in a painting, then they're gonna fly randomly, and then they're gonna like, it's just like, I like that, you know, when it all makes sense, you know, when it's just not thrown out there. And I mean, they do a good job. They did a good job with the first one. They did a good job with this one in that regard. And then the one thing that was kind of odd was with when Georgie was following the kite. And it was like ominous outside. It kind of made me feel like the movie It, like when the kids following the balloon.
Yeah, something
like,
fell off, and there was the guy that was all mad about them.
Yeah, the grass. Like, I'm like, is the guy gonna cut him? Like, I don't know. Like, it was.
Yeah, and the kids are super cute, but there was like something just like a little off.
Yeah, the kids were a little weird. Like, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if that's how you get when you're about to lose your house, but like, I don't know. They were a little. Like, I kind of didn't want to root for them at times. Like, I'm like, oh, you kids are kind of getting
the middle kid
like,
with the big ears, like he just like
yeah.
wanted to be. And like the youngest one, like I feel like he acted younger than he looked. Like he looked like he was like up there, like 5 or 6.
Maybe they needed a different Georgie. Georgie was a little too old to be.
Like ripping him apart.
Yeah, he was a cute kid. Yeah, you're right. The middle one looked he looked a little off. You know, like he definitely has middle child syndrome. If just looking at him, I could tell. But yeah, that part was a little odd for me. But no, I mean, but this is a side note. It was fine like that. Like in terms of just the overall story. Like I like how they did it. I do think that you know, as you're going through like the scorecard of a movie, like a storyline, for instance, doesn't have to be as cleverly written. Like again, I feel like they took basically a remake that they framed as a sequel. Like it's a lot of the same premise, like a lot of the same similar type characters.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when the plot isn't as creative, I do think you can supplement it with like a creative cinematography and good music and singing and costume design and like overall like message of what we're supposed to get out of the movie. I think you can add, as long as those are really strong, then maybe the like how creative they are with the movie plot is like can be slacked on a bit.
Exactly.
You know,
like I knew how the movie was gonna end the whole time watching it, but I wouldn't say that like I lost interest at all because of that.
Right.
They really kept you like watching with everything that was going on.
Yeah, I was engaged, and like I said, we went late. Like we went, we walked out of the theater at midnight last night. Mm-hmm. So like for me to be in there, stomach full of that popcorn and a large soda, I definitely stayed up. So and those recliners went back. Those were
all the way flat.
Yeah. No, I was comfy up in there. So yeah, no, they kept me engaged though. There were times where I looked over at you like, is she still up? Like is she gonna remember this? Like,
I was definitely tired, but I stayed up for the whole movie.
No, we powered through. So
Absolutely.
we made it. Casting Lin-Manuel. Is it? You know what? I felt like his name before this, and I looked it up and saw that it was Miranda. Last name Miranda. I thought it was Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I wasn't quite sure. Like I always like saw his name and like recognized the name, but then like when I was actually trying to say it a few minutes ago, I kind of just like my head just went blank.
Yeah, what was his mom doing? We're just gonna call him Lenny. So Lenny, for me, Lenny he's very talented, but he was kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of annoying. Like he seems like the kid who like actually reads the reading assignment instead of the Spark Notes. Like he's that kid. Like, shut up. Like we go into class. Obviously, no one actually read the book. Teacher asks questions. No one puts their hands up. he's the one who's gonna put his hand up, and then the teacher has to end up telling you. Remember the kids who would always volunteer to answer questions? The teacher would be like, "All right, give someone else a try, Lenny." Like he was that kid for sure. Like I'm like I can pick that kid out of a crowd. I was not that kid, so that's how I can know that I would have talked about him behind his back and to his face if he confronted me. So he was getting on my nerves a little bit. He seems like the guy. Like can't you see him like cold calling like random people who went to the theaters and asking them what they thought of Mary Poppins, and then following up with, well, what did you think about Lin-Manuel Miranda, whatever his name is, his performance, like, and be like, Lin, is that you? Like, no, it's not me. And he hangs up the phone like really quickly. I could see him getting his own like Yelp reviews, like about the movie. Like it's like.
And they like opened the movie with him like announcing it, like thanks for coming to see us in theaters, which was a little weird as well.
I didn't come to see you. Like I came to see Emily Blunt and Meryl Streep. I didn't even know Meryl Streep was in the movie, but I knew I was coming to see her before him. But again, he's very talented. I'm poking fun at him because he is a good singer, and
something just felt like I couldn't put my finger on it, but something just felt off.
He should try hard.
Yeah,
he should try hard.
He was way too like enthusiastic about everything.
The
like,
accent.
To the point where, like it was just too much.
Yeah, it was. Dang, what was I was actually gonna say the line that what he said. He kept putting emphasis on one word in one of the songs, and it was like we both laughed at, looked like snickered at certain points. I always snickered. As soon as they put him on the screen, I would snicker, like just like.
That one part where he like went with his like buddies, all the like.
Lumineers or whatever they call it. Yeah.
And, like they just like started like having like a stomp competition.
Oh man, yeah, that was. I mean, so. I get they were trying to recreate the scene from the with the chimney sweeps on the roof from the original, but with this it was like you're walking the kids home, but wait a second, kids, and here's the thing that was funny. It feels like something Lin would do in real life. Hey, wait a second, I know I'm walking you guys home, but just give me 30 minutes to put on this performance for you real quick for my buddies. Let's get it. 5, 4, 3, 2, hit it. Like I'm like, all right, like Lin, take the kids home, man. Like it's foggy outside. You can't see. You're gonna hurt somebody or yourself. But yeah, no, that part was long too. That might have been the longest performance. Actually, naturally.
It was like an 8-minute stomp the yard performance.
Yeah, for sure. It was with the ladders and.
There were bikes and like ramps involved.
What
is happening?
Man, yeah, they took that thing to the 10th degree. And the lights. I mean, like how many lights can you light? Like, I mean, there can't be that many lamps in the city.
I know.
Like, come on, they're not employing that many. This guy, like, you have Michael, who can't find a decent job, and you have 50 Lumineers in a 2-mile, block radius. Like, come on, let's make it make sense.
Nothing was as weird as like how it all started though, like how the kids were lost, and all of a sudden he was like sitting up on that ledge.
Yeah, like a creeper.
Just broke out into song. Like,
yeah, he's always lighting it.
I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, he's lighting lamps in the daytime. Like, what are you doing, man? Getting a head start on the night? Like, yeah. So he was his character. Like I said, he just was someone who I knew I wouldn't get along with in real life. But for the movie, like dancing and like show tunes, like I do that in my apartment. Like when I'm cleaning, I definitely do all that like by myself. But like just to see it on screen, I'm just like, you loser. But whatever. Shout out to Lin, man. Shout out to Lenny. Tell us how to pronounce your last name. Mr. Dawes dancing at the end when he comes in and is like,
I didn't realize that he was in the original movie. Like he was the main guy.
Yeah.
He's like 95 now.
Yeah, so okay, good, exactly. I didn't realize that was him, and so I went and looked at IMDb.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was him. I thought that was like a younger guy who they just found who like looked similar.
Yeah.
And they put makeup and a wig on. Like he looked fake old. That sounds weird, but like he didn't look actual old.
Because he's like just that old.
Right. Yeah. He looks old. He's just that old. Yeah. It's like unbelievably old. And then he has to that point though, from people from the original, I do like that they didn't have as much as I love Julie Andrews. I'm glad that she did not come on. They were trying to have her be on this movie too.
Really?
Like not play Mary Poppins, but play some type of cameo type role. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Maybe the old lady at the end.
Maybe something like that. One of those like nods to the original. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that, and this just shows like her class. Like she refused to because she didn't want to take the attention away from Emily Blunt. Like this, she's like, this is her time to shine, basically. So I thought that was really classy. But Mr. Dawes, him coming back and playing. So the other reason I thought it was a young guy who was like who they just made look like the original is when he started dancing at the end.
I know.
Like I'm like, He stood.
Moving.
Yeah, he was moving. And now that I know that it was actually him, I'm like, that had to be a double. That there's no way he got up on that table and was dancing like that. Like, I can't dance like that. Like, I'd have to stretch before dancing like how he danced on that table. So that was that threw me off a little bit. But he did good though. It did make me laugh. I'd laugh when he got on the table. I was like, you are kidding me.
I didn't even realize it was him though. When I saw a video online this morning of like him talking about it, and it was him dancing. Like he confirmed, he was like, he was breaking it down out there when he's 95, which was
shout out
insane.
Shout out to Dick Van Dyke. Shout out to him, man. So that threw me off. Like I said, the cinematography though was great. I felt like I was watching a play. Like that's really what it felt like. I felt like I was watching a play that was filmed, and which again wasn't bad. I thought they did a good job, and the music just was. I was really impressed with the original music. You know, they didn't try to. Again, that's the other thing with a remake. Yeah. You do a remake, we want to hear the original songs, but we don't really want to hear the original songs because we want to hear Julie Andrews sing them. Exactly. And we don't want to hear, so we don't want to hear Emily Blunt sing Julie Andrews songs. Yeah. So it was smart that they again made it a sequel. All new songs. I liked all the songs too. Yeah. All the songs were like, again, to the same vibe and tune of the original type of music, but it was original and it worked. Like I liked it. The animation and the clothing. I think they're up for an award of I don't know if it's costume design or something. One of those type of awards. But that was really good, like the anime, when they jump into. That
always gets me when like they have real people like in a cartoon, like kind of like Blue's Clues type stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? But they're like all in that cartoon with the evil.
With the wolf, yeah.
With the little stopwatch that then the bank person has.
Yeah, exactly.
In real life. So I thought that was a pretty cool connection.
That was. I like that. I like they did that. I like the performance and as their cartoons. And again, I just like when it looked and obviously technology is getting better, but it looked so real. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking like, man.
Even their costumes were like cartoon, like.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, like so that's the thing with the costume design, like the costumes, I don't know, again, like if it was like actual, but they made them so colorful. Yeah. And like pop so much, like with the animation there. Yeah. So and like even when they're performing and he's like, in that part where he's like walking on the books. Oh yeah. Like I thought they did, like it looks so real.
I know.
It looks so real. So they did, I mean, they'll definitely, I wouldn't be shocked if they won some award for that. But that was really dope. When they went, and I think they did this intentionally when they like did the first scene when they like go into like a fantasy type world when they were taking a bath, like that looked fake, but like I think that was intentional the way they did it. Exactly. But that was good too. Like that was a good like first song for her. But yeah, I love the just like the ridiculous display of creativity. Like when they at the end when they're all like flying up. The balloon scene, I was like, starting out, by the end of it, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, all the adults, like, just pass, like, I got the point of, like, all the adults just kind of, like, pass off. Stuff like that is not being real because they've lost, like, their child innocence, like, and stuff like that. But at first, when they're all floating up at the end on those balloons, I'm like, what is, like, come on, you lost me. You lost me, Disney. What are we doing here? Like, let's reel it back. Cheesy. It was too cheesy, and everyone started flying the balloons. But then by the end of it, and then when they like all go back and she's like, they always forget. Then I was like, okay, like I'm fine. I'll give you that. I'll throw you that bone. Like, so that wasn't bad. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh boy, it's hard to compare like different kinds of movies.
Fair, that is true.
I think I would give it a 7.
Yep, that is. Nose on what I was gonna say. 7. 7 feels comfortable, like
especially with how difficult it is to like. I know they did a sequel, but basically remake a classic. Right. Like I think they did do it justice. Yeah. Yep. I don't think like I would have changed much.
No. Yeah. That's that exactly. I agree. I don't know what I would have changed. Yeah. I'd say 7 as well. Yeah, I think they did what they could with with trying to redo the Mary Poppins, and I think it was some movies I watched and I say, why did they do that? Yeah. I wouldn't say that about this. Like I feel it, I liked it, it was solid. So They had a lot of big names in it too, which I was kind of surprised about. I was like, I didn't even realize it was Meryl Streep when we were watching it because she's so like Yeah, I was shocked they had Meryl Streep in there. Like she did. Well, I was shocked they had her in there for the role that she was in. Like for her to only be in there for
like 10 seconds.
she was in there for a song. Yeah, so it's like you'd think that she played like a more like key role because it's her.
Yeah.
But no, I mean I think that was fine. They had her in there and yeah, and then again original characters where she comes in and is Topsy to replace whoever that was in the original who had like they're like floating up or whatever.
Yeah.
But so
they made things that like connected.
yeah, a lot of parallels.
Like,
yeah, exactly. So they gave them original people, original songs. And then it's a different. It's another generation. Like Mary Poppins is big of a as big of a movie as it is, a classic as it is, and the songs from it. There's probably, I'd say most people 20 below.
Yeah.
There's a good chance they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
They're probably familiar with some of the songs, maybe not word for word, and know the movie.
Exactly.
But they might not have seen it, so there's a good introduction to that movie, and maybe they go back and watch, and if not, they still get the gist of the story and like the character of Mary Poppins. So even if it is them knowing the Emily Blunt, version, as I'm sure there are a ton of, I can't, off the top of my head think of all of them, but a ton of remakes that I enjoy that are remakes of movies that that my grandmother grew up watching or something like that, or my parents maybe. So, and I think that's fine. So
yeah, I feel like Disney's remaking everything now for like the
Yeah,
younger generation that never watched it.
Yeah, and Disney's out for the check for sure. Disney's definitely out trying to make as much money and capitalize as possible on these classics, as well as obviously creating new content. But they found something they like with that formula of just remaking some of this older stuff. So I mean, hey, whatever. I'm gonna keep going anyway. So I'm with it. Just do a good job. That's all I care about. If it's good, I don't care. Now when you start like watering down, and it feels diluted, like then I'm gonna be mad. But yeah, no, I think they've been doing a good job with it. Like I said, the live action ones worry me every single time. I'm excited about them, like Aladdin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm excited for Aladdin.
I'm excited for Aladdin. But again, I'm worried because it's a classic. It's one of my, at least in my book, it's one of my favorites all time. Music from it I love as well. So I'm gonna go in there and be super critical. So just don't do anything stupid. You have Will Smith playing Genie. I love Will Smith.
I do too.
I love him.
He's the best.
Robin Williams will not be topped at Genie. That's just the way it is. So don't try to recreate it. Let him be his own. Again, with like they did with Mary Poppins. Let him be his own type of Genie.
Yeah.
When you try to recreate something and someone already did an amazing job at it, then I'm just gonna get mad.
You're not gonna top it.
Yeah, you're not gonna top it yet.
Thing.
Do your own thing. Don't maybe change up the song. Maybe he has a new song or something. I'm fine with that. Even though Never Had a Friend Like Me is one of my favorite Disney songs. Maybe give him something else because I don't want to see Will messing it up. So.
Yeah, I actually know all of the Aladdin songs.
Really?
An Aladdin musical in
Yes.
seventh grade. Jen and I are in the chorus.
No.
It's a low point in my life.
Oh no, that's a high point. You should be proud.
Song now.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna definitely ask your mom to send me footage of that.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure they like purposely put me in the back because I was so bad. They were like, we don't want anyone to hear you.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I definitely want to hear that or at least see some pics. I love Aladdin, and I too know all the words to all the songs. So A Whole New World is one of my. I have a couple different go-tos for karaoke. That's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
So if someone wants to duet, I'm like, let's go and hit this up to get it warmed up.
We'll have to hit a karaoke bar tonight.
I'm down. I'm definitely down. I'm always down for some karaoke. Right after Chipotle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chipotle and Smoothie King come first, and then I'll be down for anything, honestly.
Big night.
So, all right. Well, no. Before we go, any upcoming movies that you're excited about that you've seen? I know you mentioned the last bit.
Yes, we did talk about this a little bit last night. I'm very excited for the new Avengers movie.
You did say that.
In
Yes.
April.
Yes.
I've always been a big superhero fan, but my boyfriend loves superhero movies.
Okay. Yep.
So I didn't go to a lot of movies in theaters, but last year we've gone and seen every single one on opening night.
Right.
My family's into the Avengers too, so
Okay.
we all
So that's a big night. You all might have to meet up in a city. I'll have to coordinate somewhere to go see the Avengers movie. It's an event. I'm looking forward to Isn't It Romantic by Rebel Wilson. So.
Oh yeah, that did look like good. She's pretty funny.
Yeah, I like her. So that looks kind of funny. It looks whatever. It's not going to be something that wins awards, but it looks good. So
yeah.
So we'll see. So thank thank you for allowing me to use your apartment as a studio and for being a guest, Katie. And let's go get some Chipotle.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, thanks everyone for listening. Peace.